Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, let's start. It's anyhow being recorded, so you can, everybody who wants to watch it can watch it afterwards. So I think we're going to have a kind of more interesting approach today for those people who would like to learn a little bit more about coding, especially with now the possibility of ChatGPT. Using it for coding is, I think, the main and greatest purpose one can have. And also it helps you to learn and study, understand a bit more how to do things. So I'll walk you through how I would write a prompt for the stuff which we're going to use, which is sequence alignment, right? And then we're going to go through the commands which ChatGPT generates, and then we can maybe try to call those commands also in our Linux interface. But the purpose of this today is because of with the advance of ChatGPT, you will see that a lot of the stuff I needed to learn is actually quite redundant right now, because you can just tell the ChatGPT interface to give you a line of code. But what we're going to do is to try to understand that line of code and why ChatGPT produced this particular line of code for DNA sequencing, but then also to try to find it in the web pages where to find the data sets, sequence alignment stuff, and so on and so on. Good. So I'm going to share my screen now. And okay. So I'm also using the free version, so don't worry. It's not really that you need the paid one. And it's quite easy. So let's say the ChatGPT write me a DNA Okay, let's see how it looks. So it takes some time for the ChatGPT to generate line, but as you can see, it should be quite simple, right? So you have your FASTQ file, which is kind of your starting point for DNA sequencing. Data file, which you obtain after your sequence, and obviously this file is quite raw, so it's not aligned, and there's a lot of duplicates, optical and technical duplicates in the file, so you need to QC the file before doing anything with it, right? And then we can see here that the software puts kind of quite a simple and easy to understand steps for sequence alignment. For example, you use PWA, which we installed one of the previous times we met, and then you'll be able to just use the command as here written, and then use your reference genome in the FASTQ format with your input FASTQ files, and then you get an aligned file, which is denoted as a SAM file. This basically what it does, it takes your raw sequencing file, your FASTQ files, which you obtain from the sequencing machine, and it puts it to the human reference genome. And this reference genome can, depending on the build, be 3738, and I think even a new one is quite recently out, but it also can be used for any other species you would like to analyze or to compare your sequencing data to, right? So this is the first thing, and this is the stuff I also would have done. So I'm also checking the software right now for the stuff I know for DNA sequencing data analysis, or the pipeline basically. So, and this is the first step I also would have done without ChatGPT basically giving this information. And then if you remember, we also installed the SUM tools, which will help us to kind of sort our file, because now all our reads which you get from the sequencing are scattered around this file. Once it's aligned to the reference genome, now we need to sort it from 1 to 23. So we have like a chronological file with our sequencing data, so we know where 1 to 23 is. So it's then obviously easier also to look into the files and then search the files for different chromosomes. So for example, to extract the sequence of your interest. You'll also be then able the file's going to be much easier to read from most softwares, because it does not need to jump, or does not need to scan the whole file. It can basically just jump directly from chromosome to chromosome with the heading denominator, which is the chromosome. And then after that, we would move to use Picard, which is a tool, which is a Java tool, where you can kind of delete or mark your duplicates and then remove the duplicates, which could be either technical or optical duplicates from the sequencing, right? And this is also a quite simple line of code here. You have your Picard. Just a second, I need to just write a message. Just a second. I'm sorry, I'll just tend to you in a moment. Good. So I got it sorted. Anyhow, So this is then basically the first step which you would do in your QC for DNA sequencing alignment, right, on data analysis in general. To get your VCF file, it would be using this Picard file, which you can download, I think, from a GATK website. And again, the commands are, as you can see, self-explanatory here. So mark duplicates in the sort read files, because you see that the file which you output here is your input file here. And it goes for this here as well. You can just easily follow, right? So this is the output file you get, and then this is the input file for this. And it's kind of this cascade where you have the output file and the input file, and basically every step you take further, you kind of reduce the redundancy in the data. And then technically you always know where you are in your naming. When you use the same naming as here, you can always follow by yourself in the line of code where you are, right? So, and then once you get rid of the duplicates, so you use this output file as input here, and then input is obviously very self-explanatory, also output, and then it gives you a duplicated read spam with a metric file. And then you use this in your GATK, you use base recalibrator, and then you use the input file, which is then the output file from here. You can follow the pattern, right? And then you use the reference genome, known sites, and then you have downloaded, for example, this known sites here. And I know that this is a reference file which you need to download, but maybe we can ask ChatGPT if he knows what that is, for example. So we go here and ask on line 4 in the command known sites, where do I get this VCF file from, and what does it contain? And we can have a look. And then it tells you where to download this file, right? So this is just before I continue, just to touch bases quickly. Do you understand what's going on? Can you follow what am I saying? And does this make sense to you? And understanding of what's going on? Just a quick. I mean, for you it's fine. Igor, do you think it's okay? Okay, Igor is not here. Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. So I'll just go through it, and then most of you can watch it later on when you have time.
Samo generalno pitanje. On poziva te fajlove iz našeg, recimo, C direktorija, ako smo tu svakako sve instalirali već.
Yes. Yes, yes. So everything here is kind of, as we said in one of the labs before. So you have this folder which you call genomes or genomics, right? And you set your, for example, those tools you install directly in the Unix interface, if you remember. So I'll just show you.
Jasno, a da li kada on izbacuje nove fajlove možemo mu mi promijeniti direktorij ili
Yes, yes.
poslati
You obviously can always say where to save the file. So then instead of, because now this would output the file in your directory of work, right? But if you would like the output to be somewhere else, instead of this equal, you just add the path where you would like to be the file, and then the name of the file as end, right?
Aha, super.
So you can just download it anywhere, right? If you don't have enough space there, you can put it on a working disk and then transfer it between disk and your hard drive. That's because the syntax for that kind of command is always the same, right? Where you put the slash and then the path towards your directory where you want to be something. Also, you can use your input file from a different folder, right? So you can just use here also the directory path to somewhere and then load it up from there. But it's the fastest, obviously, if it's from the same drive, right? So if your software is installed on your computer, like the sum tools and whatever, it's much faster if it's on the same C drive than instead of on different partition, because you have to calculate then that it's a huge file, several tens of gigabytes. And then if it's connected via a USB-B port or even as USB-C 2.0, data transfer will be quite slow because the files are so big, right? So you always have to keep that in mind. Because when you have small files, then obviously it doesn't really matter. But if the files are huge, then every single small thing can add up a lot of minutes and hours on your computing time, right? So good. So now we ask ChatGPT to tell us what the non-null sites is, and so that we can download this VCF file as a reference from here, right? With the vget command, and this is then the file, and it is all the SNPs and all the sites, right? So coming back now, so what it does, it takes this known sites and calibrates with the reference genome to your duplicate written file and calibrates those bases and the calls, right? And then it gives you, also spits out recall table data. And then we use another command, which is applying this stuff. So we now calibrated and made this file, right? Which tells you what all the bases are off in comparison to the reference genome. And then we use apply base calibrator. So this is meaning base recalibrator, and this literally also meaning base recalibrator is just an abbreviation, and it's the command apply base recalibrator. So and then you input the duplicate reads, which is the same input, but we now use for the calibration, we use this output file which we obtained here, right? The recall table. And then we get the recalibrated reads in a bound file. And then we can use our variant calling, and this is the most labor intensive part of the pipeline, where we basically use haplotype caller, which is also a GATK software pack with the reference genome, with the recalibrated reads, and then we give a raw variant file VCF. And then we do something which is called variant filtering, and this is obviously just a crude explanation. We'll obviously go into much more details once we have some interesting data to look into, and then we can maybe dissect a little bit more all this stuff. So basically, then we have variant filtration, where you again, R is always reference, it's also self-explanatory, and then we have the variant, which is the raw variant VCF file, which we have from here, and then we set some filters which you don't really need to know, but you can ask them if you're interested. For example, in line 6, tell me what QD is. QD is what FS is and what MQ is. Please be detailed. And you then see that you get also an explanation. So that's why I'm saying this just came out like last year, right? And I spent like 5 years of my life trying to learn this, and it's a little bit sad because it took me like at least a year to really know all this in detail. And now you just use ChatGPT and it writes a perfect variant calling pipeline. So, and that's why actually I got this idea yesterday. Instead of teaching you the way I learned it, I think that's actually quite redundant at this point, because everybody can use ChatGPT right now, and I think it's much better for me to explain you how to use it and how to understand what's going on there, in comparison to me just trying to pumple down you with some stupid memorizing of lines of codes and commands and all this stuff, because you most of the time have anyhow the computer available, and then the more you do this and the more you actually work with it, you will then memorize it by itself, right? So the more times you repeat it, it's going to be much easier for you to memorize what's going on there. But nevertheless, it's super easy right now to get all the answers, and then we get actually what those commands mean. So map quality, Fisher standard bias, and quality of depth. So which is a measure of variant confidence normalized, blah, blah, blah. It gives you basically some standardized quality metrics which need to be called to have like a minimum value file, right? And then depending on the depth of sequencing and all these parameters you can use, this is then flexible and adjustable for you to include or exclude more variants in your file with bigger or lower quality. And then you have filter names, which is kind of on anything you want to filter, right? Could be chromosome, could be anything, could be a variant, and then you get the filtered variant filed up. And then you have Anavar, which you also need to install, and we'll do that, which then uses human DP data snip with all the annotated reference, nomad, whatever, tells you all the pathological variants, how important they are, if they're pathological, non-pathological, um, what do they do, if they do anything, and if they're relevant for anything to begin with, right? So this would be just kind of our first look into it, right? So I hope so far. I think so. Who do we have? So basically, it's admin and uh, Ilham. Are you there?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
here.
you're there. So the two of you are basically there, which is okay. I think actually this is the most interesting class we had so far, but nobody is here actually to participate, which is a little bit sad. But nevertheless, I hope to this point it's still very understandable what's going on. If there's any question from you too, I'm happy to answer as we go along because it's only the two of you. Is there anything you do not understand of any of those, for example, lines? And I would actually urge you to do and um, write the same right now in ChatGPT, both of you, if you're there, and then we can have a look and compare if it gives us a different variant column pipeline. So it would be good. Can you, if the both of you could do that, and tell me if it deviates from what I've got? When you finish, tell me, right? So we can have a look.
For me, it's similar. I think it's the same actually.
Yes.
From the start, I got the same. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe here is the first four lines. Maybe we can have a look.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's the same.
And with you, Amin?
Ja sam probao samo na ovom drugom jednom, nije mi isto izbacio, ali mislim na ChatGPT će isto izbaciti. Vidite.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So then it's kind of something that's not kind of spitting anything randomly out, because this is actually at this point quite standard, right? There is as you can see, in a sense of coding, once you have all the packages installed, it's nothing really much coding wise. Everything is already in those commands there. The only thing is obviously understanding why would you do some of those commands and why wouldn't do something, because GATK, for example, let's say you'll see it now. Can you tell me can you give me a list of all commands and what they do? Yes, so now you can, this is just amazing, right? I mean, yeah, I haven't done this by myself previously, but this is just, it's pure joy for me to see this stuff actually, because I can't tell you how much time I lost in trying to understand all of this stuff. Yeah, and then you have like obviously the base recalibrator, the apply, the haplotype, the genotype, GVCF, which is merging VCF files into a single VCF file. So basically, if you would have more than one patient, for example, or more than one file for a GWAS analysis, for example, you would use this command to combine it. If you have a family of 3 or whatever, and then you have variant filtration, filters variants and specific criteria such as quality scores and notation, right? Then select variants, select subset of variants based on various criteria, which you can adjust yourself, variant annotator, which I think I would rather use Anovar for that, because it's the same. It's basically the same principle. You see, it's dbSNP. You heard about it. Then you have a big dbSNP file, and then you use it as annotation, and then it's combining invariant evaluates and compares variants calls against a true set. So then you can also do comparison. And then something which we didn't have a look was Anovar, I think. Yes, you can use Anovar for annotation, but there is another set I used. What was his name? User guides. Yeah, I think I used it here. Yes, so you can go here and download Anovar. I can send it to you. You need to, I think, apply for a download, and then you can use it for annotating your files, right? So, in essence, what does this do, right? So all the steps which are named here. So you can also technically tell me, can you give me, because I'm actually writing this as I go along, because I think it's quite fascinating, right? So don't be worried if something doesn't go from the first try, because I never tried this before. Can you give me a link to download the human reference genome build 38? This is so great. This is so cool. So you can basically just copy this and get the human genome right directly. Just you have this recorded, so you can basically just use vcat to download the whole human reference genome. And then can you give me a link for downloading publicly available human DNA. Oh yeah. Mhm. Because actually there are sources where you can download directly from. That's why I'm asking instead of using this. I need to dig a little bit deeper into this, but this is also not bad. You can also, yeah, this is great. So, and then basically you can then type, you get your reference genome, and then you can use this to get some dummy data, which I recognize this annotation. This is, I think, 1,000 genomes file. But actually I can ask it, can you give me a link to download 1,000 genomes DNA seq. Okay, yeah, but then you can use it right like this, right? So you can then find it and then go through a clicking process and then get your dummy data if you're interested in downloading and practicing, right? So you get your reference data and what was needed. Uh, can you give me a link for the GNOMAD database file? Yes, here you can download GNOMAD data. Yes, cool. This is extremely useful, guys. I mean, this is going to help you much. So basically, you could, if you really would like to play around and find this out by yourself, you can just actually ask this thing to does with words, and it does it for you. I'm actually quite perplexed myself seeing this, and I wasn't expecting this to be this good, to be honest, in what it does. So yeah, any questions so far? Anything which struck you, which you would like to know what to ask? So maybe we can then make for next time, and some of you can then tell it to your friends, because I don't know when they're in there gonna see this, that you just, as a kind of take-home exam or take-home task, basically, download a small data file, a human sequencing data file using ChatGPT, and then just try to run the pipeline, right? So once you download the file, you can actually just tell it the name of the file, and can insert the name of the file instead of the name example here. When you start doing it, right, you download the file, find a solution, or find a way for downloading as with ChatGPT, right? And then you, instead of using this input fastq file, fastq gz, whatever, you just use the file you downloaded, and then see if you can go through this pipeline by yourself in order to make an interesting VCF file, right? Is that something? I mean, I can't give you points for this, but if you're interested, that would be quite cool to see if you. Maybe I can give you actually some points for that. Let's say 5 points, right? Who does that? Why wouldn't I be able to do that? Because I want to see if you're able to figure it out using ChatGPT by yourself, kind of. I mean, not by yourself. You now know what you're looking for, kind of, but also to see if you're able to give me something resembling a VCF file, but just using this tool. Is that okay? Let's say this is 5 extra points. Who wants?
Jeste. Samo pitanje, kad se ove komande stavljaju,
Mhm.
ranamo ih jednu po jednu ili ih možemo napraviti nekako paket od njih pa ih onda sve pustiti odjednom?
I would suggest you to go one by one,
Ma,
right?
naravno, mislim, za sad, ali inače, to je
Yeah,
samo
of course,
plan
of
i on se
course,
samo pozove. Da.
of course. You can just basically, where is the sign here? You know this end sign on the, you can just put on the end of the line this weird 8 thing. I don't know how it looks.
Znam, da.
This thing, right?
Napisao sam ja u chat, jasno.
So you just add it on the end of the line, make a space here, and then you go with the next command, and you can put it in a text file, and then you can just run that text file. So you go into, for example, this Notepad++, or you can do it also in Notepad. Then you, for example, do this, right? And then you add this end sign. So stupid. Here we go. And you do like this, and just you can do the next line, right? But I would suggest you to go line by line just to see if there's spits you some errors and what the explanation for the error is, if something is wrong, so you can have a detailed look into it, basically, right? So yeah, and then you just save this file as whatever txt, and then you go here and then type like this, and then the extension of the file, whatever you call it, like script1.txt, and then press enter, and it should run it as a whole package where you don't need to go line by line. But for the beginning, it would be cool if you do it by line, so you could just tell me if there's any errors in between, so that you can ask me and we can try to fix if there's any there. But it seems actually quite good done, because I have to compare it to my original pipelines, but it seems like perfectly great, right? So nothing actually to be worrying about. And here we have obviously, if you don't know what some of the commands mean, or if it says I'm lacking this in this file, you can always use again ChatGPT and ask it, what's this file where I'm lacking this, blah 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 blah, in order for you to obtain the right answer, right? Anything else? So here we have Anavar. I send you the link. Yeah. Something else? We should have a look, maybe. Let me think about it. So yeah, then we have an agreement. You can tell your friends who's not here today, that you can get like 5 extra points for that stuff. If you do it, you don't need to get anything right. I just need you to send me to see that you tried something, right, and how you did it, and that's going to be perfectly enough for me, just to kind of get you involved and to see if you're interested in the stuff to get this stuff up and running. That's that part, and then also we can ask it, for example, what is a VCF file? Yeah, I think when I see this, I feel like I just lost 5 years for no reason. Had I been a little bit younger, this would have been much easier to do. But yeah, please, you guys, use this opportunity in really getting to know this software tool to help you to do your tasks, because this is it's just great. I'm actually really amazed. Good. I think we can finish basically here for today. You have it recorded. It's 40 minutes, and then because you also have the exams and stuff. So this weekend I won't hold you up if you need to study. I hope everything is going by plan and that you are finishing or everything well. And then from next week, obviously you have your test if you want to fill in this. Yeah, so this testing thing, if you want to do it for the 5 extra points, does not need to be next week. You can do it by the end of the year if you want to have this, right? It's no pressure. But also, next time I will send you by myself some data files I have prepared. If I haven't done that already for you to download, I have to check in my notes. And then we'll continue by just using ChatGPT and those files, but then more people will be there and they can actively participate, so that if stuff occurs that we know that we can adjust it and fix it. Now it's only like 2 or 3 of you being actively here, right? So it doesn't make much big a difference. It doesn't help much if something goes wrong while they're watching the recordings, and it won't be helping them much to fix it. Okay, good. If that's all, no questions so far. Is that it?
You're
So, do we send this as a VCR file when we're done
No,
with it?
you don't need to send the VCF file. You can just tell me what you did, right? So make screenshots. Right, I tried this screenshot. I tried it, right, and this is the output I got. This is the error I got. I tried this to fix it. Just kind of to see how you work your way around by using this tool and trying to solve the problem. It's kind of more a problem solving oriented thing, right?
Okay, thank you.
So for you to practice, that's the main point. Hopefully you will practice. Right?
Okay.
Good. If that's it, that's then it for today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me anytime to go through. And I wish you good luck with the rest of your exams during this week. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Yeah.